Maybe I should use the other one, but good night, everybody. I am Christ, I am disciple, and there's a lot of things I want to do, but I'm using StreamYard today so that people can hop on here as guests, and we're going to talk about a series of topics. Um, One of them is, of course, Restore the Snyderverse, Free Palestine. We're going to talk about that for sure. I don't think mobile phones you can share the screen. I was looking to see if I could share the screen, but I haven't been able to see that here. Unfortunately, it's now 9:43 Atlantic Standard Time. Not sure what Eastern Time is. Eastern Time is probably, sorry, not Eastern Standard Time, but I do not know what it is Western Standard Time or in California in the West. I believe you're about 3 hours behind us, so that means it's about 6:43 in the afternoon. Stream info. So we're looking at Free Palestine, Restore the Snyderverse, the mental health discussions, and of course, suicide prevention with Zack Snyder. And that's what the profile picture's about. Edit. I wish I could share screen. That feature is not here when I'm using a phone. So the following things I just wanted to let you know. If you want to support AFSP here on this channel, you can do so. You can do so by doing the following things. You can either go to afsp.org, that's that round table to don't make your donations there. It's over 100 and something $1,000 have been raised. You can still donate there. So that's the site. If you want to get the direct link to the site, it's right here. It's a direct link to the site. If you want to jump on here as a guest and chop it up with me, you can also do that. So we got some stuff to talk about today. I'm Christ I am Disciple. If you guys don't know, if you'd like to support this channel, if you'd like to support the stream, just check the description. I believe the description has my PayPal link there. So having covered all of that, all praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first. Having said that, let's get into it. This stream, as I said before, is about Free Palestine. So I want to share some stuff with you guys. I hope you can hear the audio here. I'm going to step across to Twitter here for a second. The thing about it, oh, there's Twitter right here. I'm going to step across to Twitter. You guys are not going to be able to see the stuff, but hopefully you'll be able to hear the stuff. So let me go first of all to this. I don't know if you guys can still hear me. I don't know if you guys can still see me. I may have to look at the stream on YouTube to see if I'm still being heard or seen. But I'm going to play for you guys something from Twitter. I'm going to play for you guys something on Twitter. Okay. Hold on a second, though. Let me check out something here. Make sure everything's hunky-dory. This is me. Okay. Nice. Okay. Am I frozen? I'm just checking on something here. Okay, good. So that's good. All right. Let me see now. I'm frozen though. You guys can see me. Okay, I was upside down, frozen. That was kind of weird. All right, but you guys can hear me, right? So the picture might freeze, but you guys can still hear the audio, which is the important part. And for some reason, my picture went sideways. All right, so let's just get into Free Palestine. The gentleman you're going to be hearing from Twitter is Bassem Youssef, and you're going to be hearing him speaking about this. There's several different people I want to, several different things about this I want to talk about. So let's get into it. All right. And with great engineering, were able to develop their own farms. Okay. And Israel sabotaged that basically. Mushroom farms. They have a lot of greenhouses in Palestine, and they were growing their own food to some degree. And Israel's destroyed the greenhouses. They've destroyed the infrastructure. They've destroyed the churches. They've destroyed the schools. They've destroyed the universities. They've destroyed uh, the buildings, the homes. So we're going to get into more detail. Some people say, well, how do you know this? You can't say that this is the genocide. Okay, hold on a second. Now, first of all, let's just be abundantly, make this abundantly clear. Okay. If Israel was really going after Hamas, okay, if they really were trying to go after Hamas, not the Palestinian people, Hamas, I guarantee you, they would first of all take out the Hamas leaders outside of Palestine, because the real head honchos of Hamas are outside of Palestine. They would drive the currency flow to Hamas. And then they wouldn't destroy buildings and stuff. That's stupid. They go after Hamas through individuals, informants, etc. They'd infiltrate Hamas and they take Hamas down. There's no other way you can do this. You have to use special forces and intelligence to take out Hamas if they really were serious about taking out Hamas. If they were really serious about getting the hostages back, they would have had an agreement with Hamas to get the hostages out, and then they would seek to locate Hamas, and then they would take them out. In short, the approach that they took, not only was it unnecessary, but it has completely destroyed Israel's credibility. And right now, I believe most of the world right now is thinking, why does a state even exist? It seems to cause more trouble in the Middle East than anything else. This is the truth of the matter. Even I'm asking that question. And now, I remember beginning by saying, fuck Hamas. I remember I used to say that. And now I'm looking at Hamas like they're saints compared to what Israel's doing. And That's sad because Hamas doesn't necessarily rule the people, um, ideally, but it's better than anything Israel's doing with their own people and in their own country. And the thing about it is the hypocrisy that Israel tries to claim that it's a democracy. It's not a democracy, and we all know this. So let me get into the next clip. The next clip is much better than this one. So let's get into it. Because I also want to talk about suicide prevention. And I also want to talk about restoring the Snyderverse. So there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but I'm going to take it step by step. Okay. You guys will see my picture kind of freeze. When the picture freezes, just because I'm trying to source out other things. I should have probably used YouTube. But if you guys want to pop on here as guests as well, you're free to do so tonight. I don't care who you are. You can be pro-Israel. You could be even an IDF soldier. You could be a member of Hamas. I really couldn't care less, because I'm going to say this right now. I don't think of Hamas as a terrorist group anymore, because what Israel's done is more than terrorism. It's genocide. It's Holocaust kind of behavior. And the way how they're trying to threaten everybody because they think they have American backing is just atrocious. And what they need to understand is this. The United States of America cannot take on the entire world. It'll lose. Okay? The entire world includes Soviet Russia, China, Germany, France, Ireland, the UK. These are the powerful nations with nuclear weapons. Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, all of the African continent, all the African nations, all of the Middle Eastern countries. It can't take on the whole world. So that intimidatory tactics that, the United States of America, for example, is trying to threaten, these congressmen are trying to threaten The Hague, saying that they would invade The Hague. Now, they may have passed some law in America that allows them to go, that as far as America is concerned, they can go into The Hague and do whatever they want. But that's not a law that's international. It's not international law. That's their law for their country. So if they ever conceive a notion like that in their minds, Germany stand by, France stand by, Russia stand by. Because if they think they can just punitively go into The Hague in the Netherlands and arrest people, guess what? You're going to have to go through all the countries that agreed to be part of The Hague and the ICC. Meaning, if you go down there in an armed presence, expect an armed resistance. Interpol, NATO, the peacekeeping forces, and then we have also individual countries. Germany, which is complying with whatever the ICC says. Germany, France is complying. Spain, Ireland, what's the other country? I can't remember. In other words, if the United States of America gets out of line, somebody has to check them. And the people who would check them should be the international community. It's time the international community takes up its responsibility, the United Nations, because the very nation that, implored to have this united net front and this united nation is now going rogue with Israel. And if they got to be brought into line, then we will need the support of those who agree to the International Criminal Court. That means you roll up into the Netherlands, you're going to meet resistance. You're going to meet Germans armed to the tooth with weapons, with aircraft, with munitions, with tanks. You want to have a war? Roll up into The Hague. Roll up into The Hague. Furthermore, I know we're coming close to sanctions being placed on Israel. Some countries already sanctioned Israel. but the international community is on the verge of sanctioning Israel. The BDS movement has been pushing for this for decades. Also, I must say this. Both the ICC and the ICJ must be protected at all costs because this is where international law now lies. Nobody's bigger than the law. You know, they're saying, talking about Donald Trump being found guilty for whatever. Nobody's bigger than the law. Well, guess what? That includes countries. Nobody's bigger than the law. If the ICC issues arrest warrants for Mr. Netanyahu and Mr. The head of the defense, and America tries to do anything, it is time the international community puts them in their place. It's time. Okay, they're not a superpower when it comes to finances anymore. That's China. They're not the biggest, baddest guy with the biggest, baddest weapons. That's Russia. So if China and Russia got to check their ass, then so be it. Because they owe China a lot of money. And they've been moving all around the world like gangsters and like mobsters with their military rolling up on countries and trying to lay stage to them to try and intimidate them. Then intimidation and bully tactics will not work. It will not work. The world is different. So them threatening and talking about your life is going to be a living hell and all this bullshit is not going to fly. And you threaten enough, the international community and the international world will straighten you out. It's about time that happens. So if Germany's complying with the international law, if France is complying with the international law, if people in the United States of America are complying with international law, and even different sectors of the United States of America, when it comes to the common people of the United States of America, are willing to comply with international law because of what they've seen, then all of these people who are bought by AIPAC, all of these people who are bought out and bribed by the Israeli lobbying interest, they're going to have to comply with international law. End of story. And if they want to use force, force will be used back at them. That's how you have to treat these bullies. Israel has broken every single international law. And we're going to go into that right now. Mm. Now, that there was one of the candidates for president of South Africa speaking, and he's right. It doesn't matter that Hamas ran into a hospital That is not a reason to bomb an entire hospital. What you're supposed to do is use special forces and infiltrate the hospital, searching for the Hamas agents. Imagine this. It is suspected that Russian spies have infiltrated an American building. Let's say they've infiltrated the CIA building. Does that mean you bomb the entire CIA building to get them? Make any sense to you? Let's say Hamas infiltrates Israel and gets into a residential area in Israel. Does that mean you bomb the entire residential area of Israel to get Hamas? Make it make sense. No. You use special forces. You use your defense force. And you go on a special op to find them and to get them. So when I hear them trying to rationalize bombing refugee camps, bombing hospitals, bombing universities, bombing schools, bombing churches, because Hamas is there, I say hogwash. That's absolute, incontrovertible rubbish. They bombed United Nations buildings. That's a no-no. They've bombed refugee camps. That's again another no-no. You don't bomb refugee camps. I don't care if Hamas is in there. That's where you bring your special forces and you do what you do. So every excuse that Israel has made, Hamas is here, Hamas is there, is already nullified. It's nullified. International law says X, Y, and Z. You can't do certain things. Certain things are forbidden. And they have demolished every single building. They've demolished a lot of things that sustain. They've destroyed crops. Hamas is not in the crops. What are you destroying their crops for? You're not affecting Hamas by doing these things, by the way. You're affecting the public. These things were made for the people. A militant wing can exist because they have terrain. By the way, let's just make this abundantly clear. Hamas, if they want to, just like Hezbollah, can infiltrate Israel tomorrow. Because guess what? They built tunnels under Israel that connect to Israel's tunnels. So if they wanted tomorrow, they could invade Israel. They could pop up in Jerusalem. They could pop up in Tel Aviv. They could pop up where they want to. Because they've been building tunnels for a while. Just like how Hezbollah has taken over the north of Israel. Because if they want to, they can take land back. And this war has not even begun when it comes to Hamas, Hezbollah. It hasn't even begun. So Israel's talking all this talk, not understanding that they're in for a very, very long war in which they will quit. They will lose. Now, they're already lost. They just don't know it yet because they're losing all credibility in the world. Let's keep it moving. As I said before, and I will say it again, there was a much better way to get at Hamas. And it involved using the very people who believe in Hamas against them. You have to make your enemies look bad. Hamas doesn't look bad right now. They look great. Okay? They look like they outplayed Israel, and they're outplaying Israel as we speak. Because Israel now is in a position where they cannot back out. Hamas has drawn them into a war. They were not ready to fight. They behaved reflexively. They behaved reactionarily. Have they wiped out all the Palestinians? No. Will they wipe out all the Palestinians? No, they won't. They won't even succeed with that. They won't drive them out. They won't ethnically cleanse them. They won't, they'll kill a lot of them. They will kill a lot of them. Okay. But they won't wipe them out. Okay. Furthermore, their prime minister is going to be on war crimes and some other ministers, and the keys to start to tumble. And America is going to go down with Israel because they took that money over integrity. There are a few people in Hollywood who didn't take super PACs. The super PACs, of course, are money from Israel, bribing money. I rub your back, you rub my back. Now, I got another one for you. And the thing about it is, we keep on seeing these images. I want to read this for you guys. The BBC is afraid to report the facts about Israel's war by an anonymous BBC journalist. A BBC journalist writes that editors at the broadcaster are afraid of reprimand from their bosses for reporting that displeases the Israeli government, leading to the BBC's consistently holding back from reporting the full horrors of Israel's war on Gaza. See, they're still trying. They're still trying to. So this guy, he's saying, one of the spokespersons for the government, he's saying that, you know, protests on a whole are not anti-Semitic, but there's been some anti-Semitic slogans like "from the river to the sea." He says it's anti-Semitic, which is bullshit because Netanyahu is saying the very same thing, but he means it in a totally different way. They're talking about Palestine being free of apartheid. They're talking about Palestine being free of occupation. They're talking about Palestine being free of brutality towards the Palestinians, that the Palestinians would get to live in Palestine freely. You know, a lot of Palestinians have been displaced from Palestine. So that's what "from the river to the sea, Palestine being free" means. But even so, it's about Palestine being given back to the Palestinians. And when I say Palestinians, I mean the Bedouin, the Druze, the Arabs, the Palestinian Jews, those people. They should get back their land. They should get back their property. It's only just and fair. Israel And these European Israelis that came to Palestine and started to kick out the people in Palestine because they had superior weaponry, and they had the backing of the UK and the United States. um it's bullshit, right? And so everybody's seeing that now, and they're seeing how brutal these people are, and how wicked these people are, and how much of a warmonger these people are. They're waging war with all their neighbors. They attacked Jordan, they attacked Syria, they attacked Lebanon. They have a fight with Lebanon right now, and they have a fight with the Syrians as well. They've attacked the Palestinians in Palestine. They've attacked Egypt. So they're attacking everybody, and everybody's just supposed to stay chill and not do them anything because America's behind them. Fuck yeah, fuck that. That's nonsense. That's nonsense. And again, imagine if the world decides this is bullshit, and the whole entire world decides to turn against them. But due process is going on right now, right? So in the ICJ, South Africa was able to get the ICJ to issue a statement saying to Israel that you need to have a ceasefire now. So the ICJ said ceasefire now. If Israel violates that, sanctions will be placed against it. So we're going to the next step and the next step. In the meantime, the International Criminal Court, Mr. Khan has submitted applications for arrest warrants for Netanyahu and the head of defense, as well as 3 Hamas leaders. And I hope that the ICJ, I hope the ICC has some sort of urgency behind them, that they get these arrest warrants certified and then issued. Okay, it's very important that this happens. I can give a fuck what the Americans think. And let them. I dare them to try something. Right? America wants to put sanctions on The Hague. Fuck America. They don't have to do trade with America. Like, oh, you did that. Okay, we're not gonna do any business with you. Well, fuck you. Who wants to do business with you right now? You got blood on your hands. Also, the Palestinian lives on your hands, because you supplied the bombs, you supplied the weapons to Israel to do this, and you're still supplying them. So fuck you. So at the end of the day, those empty threats by people who are bought but with Israeli money, we don't want to hear them. And in fact, Donald Trump said this, and some things that Donald Trump was saying, there really is a swamp in Washington, D.C. It's a swamp, and it need to be cleared. Unfortunately, Donald Trump also takes AIPAC money, and he also takes Israeli money. So he's no better. He'll do the same shit like all of them. So we need to get the people who are not taking AIPAC money or super PACs, and those people are the people all of America needs to vote for, Democrat and Republican. Y'all should make a resounding statement rejecting Donald Trump and rejecting Joe Biden, because the media is having you believe they're the only 2 choices. There's Jill Stein, there's Cornel West, right? There's also, I believe, well, I think Bernie Sanders is not running. So you have Jill Stein and you have Cornel West. They're all part of what is called the Green Party. Vote them in. Vote them in. They're probably the least likely to ever be voted into. But vote for somebody new. Say fuck all these clowns and vote for them. And let them win the election. And throw everything on its head. Now AIPAC has no power over. Well, there'll still be people in Congress who. And what you should do is look for your congressional representative. If your congressional representative is getting AIPAC money, then you need to mobilize yourselves and overthrow that congressional representative with somebody else. You, as the American people, can change the dynamic because you have the numbers. It's up to you. They're trying to convince you you have no choice. No, you always have a choice. You're always in power to do, but you have to decide what you want. and make it an epic election. Election nobody saw coming. It's up to you to mobilize yourselves and get a candidate that's not compromised and push that candidate. And we know when these candidates go, when they get elected and they go into Washington, D.C., these fuckers are going to try and compromise them. You got OAC, you got this other guy, you got a crew there in Washington, D.C. that does not take that money. So they're not compromised. And they don't got to say good things about Israel. They can be honest. So one more video I got, one more audio I have to clip to play for you guys, and then I will go to Restore the Snyderverse, and then I'll go to what Zack Snyder was speaking about concerning mental health and suicide prevention with the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention and Charlie Hunt. So we're gonna get into it. Hunt, all good people. I saw that. I can't believe it. Chris Evans was signing some bombs. So these motherfuckers could bomb Palestinians. And Nikki Haley, the asshole. We'll get to that. So let me get to that video right now. Okay, this is it here. My audio for some reason is kind of low. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. But here we go. Jamal Bowman is, of course, one of the squad. In a second. So basically, the reporter on CNN talking to Jamal Bowman, who's part of the squad, of course, asking him, what he thinks about Nikki Haley signing the bomb saying finish them. And Jamal Bowman said something that's really true. He said that, the American public's just turning against the government right now. They just hate the government right now because of just how evil and wicked and just callous they are. And in addition to that, he said, they also are tired of all these wars that America's always involved in. They're always giving money to the military complex. And I know Zack Snyder spoke about this in his movies quite a lot. And I got to be honest with you. Israel and America seem to be warmongers. They seem to like war because the military complex gets to sell as much weapons as possible. I'm going to say something to the American people again, so that you will understand how you can use what they're doing against them. So they like using weapons, right? And they got, because the NRA has liberal gun laws. So I would suggest, especially to my white brothers and sisters who, always loaded to the nine, also to the veterans who have sacrificed, in wars and stuff, that when the police state, the police try to clamp down on certain things, rights and freedoms of people, you guys go out there and confront them and resist what we call civic disobedience or put civil arrest on them. In other words, it's time they feel your power, how strong you really are. And the people who gave their lives for the country, the veterans, And the people who want their liberties, like, this is where you guys actually play a real role in this country. In that country, they can't just overthrow America because they know some of the citizens are armed to the teeth and they be training and arming themselves all the time. That's why they haven't tried to make America a police state. They've been testing out different things, but they're not trying it because them bucko hillbillies will destroy your ass. Okay? So I wish that your guys would sort yourselves out and come together to protect one another. You got to forget about these bullshit things like race. That's what you got to do. Like the New Yorkers, you guys need to come together and defend each other. New Yorkers will defend New Yorkers. Anybody's a threat to New Yorker, they'll huddle together and defend. Well, y'all are Americans. Y'all are fucking Americans. Defend each other. Protect each other. If the kids on campuses are being attacked by the police and attacked by pro-Israeli people who are usually from Israel, respond. If you're an American, respond. If you don't like what Israel's doing in Palestine, show up. And some of you are versed in war already, and some of you have been practicing day in, day out with weapons. Show up with your weapons. They always said that the Black Panthers were bad people. All the Black Panthers did was show up with weapons to resist the Ku Klux Klan. They said, oh, you think you can just attack harmless, defenseless people? Oh, no, no, no. You have to go through us. And that's what you guys need to do. That's what the United Nations needs to do. That's what these countries need to do to bullies. America feels it can do anything it wants on the world stage and nobody must question it and it mustn't answer to anyone. Well, fuck, those days are over, buddy. They're over. They're fucking over. You will answer to the International Criminal Court. And to ensure that that happens, some of your European allies will say you have to go through us if you want to take down. In other words, America needs to understand that you ain't more powerful than Europe. Europe made you what you are. You're not more powerful than China. You're indebted to China. And you're sure as fuck you ain't more powerful than Russia. The Russians have always been bad and they always win. So if you want to fuck around in the international community and be backing a runaway rogue nation that shouldn't even exist, you got another thing coming. And they know you got to play chess, not checkers, because the moment they make a false move, oh, it's on, baby. Okay? Because in the Middle East, Iran is not some easy country to fuck around with. Israel just assassinated their president. Understand, it's chess, not checkers. See all those checker moves Israel's making? All right. That's checker moves. The chess play is to get checkmate, to annihilate you. You don't come back from it. So they're just watching and they're taking their time. So what I'm trying to say is nobody gets away with nothing out here. And nobody should. And justice is justice. It's not about who's the biggest, baddest guy on the block. You know, America has this false conception that it's the biggest, baddest guy on the block. And Russia right now is putting that in check in the Ukraine. Now, do I think Russia was right to just go into the Ukraine and start doing things like that? No, I don't think it's right because it broke Ukraine's sovereignty. You have to respect the country's sovereignty. But having said that, every single move that Putin has done in the Ukraine has been to protect the Russian people who were in the Ukraine or people of Russian descent. Okay, that's all he's been doing. And now there's no turning back. They're fighting the Ukrainians to take them over. They had a chance to negotiate. And the Americans are arming the Ukrainians. So don't tell me shit about Iran arming Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. Don't tell me shit about that, because you arm who you want to see win. You're the only country that can do that. So I don't want to hear that shit. Okay? Hamas is actually the government of Gaza, but they're a terrorist group. No, there's a military arm of Hamas, which is a military group. They don't, the Palestinians don't have a military army. So what do you expect? That is their form of resistance. And they're not going to go straight up and down against, obviously, they're going to fight where it's most advantageous to them. Because Palestine doesn't have a national military. Because Palestine is not a state universally recognized. They're trying to make it a state, but it's not. So what are the people supposed to do? So I don't want to hear this bullshit about Hamas is terrorists and blah, 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 blah. They're not going, Hamas hasn't left and gone and done suicide bombings like the Second Intifada. They didn't do that. They went into Palestine. They went into Israel and they seized a number of military soldiers. The weirdest thing is when the soldiers came out of, they breached Gaza's wall, they went into some surrounding cities, surrounding towns, and they did not harm the people in those towns. We have video footage of it. So why is it that they didn't harm those people in those towns, elderly people and so on? But all of a sudden, oh, they raped and beheaded 40 babies' heads and no, they didn't do that. They're military. So the people saying that they did that, of course, in the crossfire with the IDF soldiers and the police, I wouldn't be surprised if some people who were in the rave got caught in crossfire. But I sincerely do not believe that Hamas raped and murdered people. It doesn't fall in line with the footage I've seen. So, therefore, what that means is Hamas actually behaved more like a military installation than the IDF has, because we have video footage of the IDF shooting people for fun and killing them, sniping people for fun and killing them. We've seen them making mockery inside of abandoned residential areas, playing with Palestinian toys and wearing their lingerie and all kinds of crazy, whack, skewed, mentally depraved things they're doing in there. And they're posting it up on social media, by the way, which is the most, I mean, if you're trying to conceal this stuff, why would you post it, and they're posting it up on social media, TikTok and all over. The most depraved, stupid things, all right? You don't see Hamas doing that. You see Hamas, every time you see footage of Hamas, they're running an operation. They're blowing up a tank, or they're shooting down soldiers, sniping soldiers, or they're blowing up things. That's what they're doing, because they're a military agency. So they carried out an expert operation and they were able to breach the wall, which was highly secure. They were able, and I know they got intel from within Israel. Somebody within Israel was working with them, obviously, to allow them to do that. They couldn't just do that on their own. How are you going to get out of Gaza to do that? You know what I'm saying? So they had intel. Israelis worked with Hamas to allow that successful up to happen. And as according to Hamas, there were two reasons they did it. The first reason was because of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which was being defiled and people were not allowed to go into it. And the second reason was because of the normalization talks that were happening between Saudi Arabia and Israel, which have now been completely destroyed. So these were the two reasons Hamas did what they did. And I'm saying all of this to say Hamas at least has good reasons for what they're doing. Now, people say, well, Hamas wants to annihilate Israel. It's not that they want to annihilate Israel or kill every Jew, as the propaganda goes. They don't care about killing every single Jew. They do want to destroy the system that Israel is being run as. Absolutely. Yes, they want to see that utterly destroyed. And what they're talking about is they want the rights and privileges and abilities to move the Palestinians, not to be oppressed and to be beaten and killed and just thrown into prison for no reason at all and terrorized and so many other things. In fact, let me give you another clip. I mean, their lives are living hell. So I'm going to be honest with you. I can't fault Hamas for what they did, right? They carried out an operation. The idea was to recon captives, but it was also to take out the communication systems, recon captives, trade the captives for other captives, but also get international attention on this. So people will remember, hey, man, y'all forgot about Palestine. Y'all forgot about us. They were speaking to their neighbors. They were speaking to the Saudis. You know, they were speaking to these people who they wanted to make sure. Now with the BRICS, that changes the dynamic a lot as well. So again, another shift in power right there. The thing about it is this. The thing about it is this. America is already too deep in this that they can turn back. But what America should have done, and to some degree they can still do, is this. They need to withdraw military support from Israel. Now, somebody need to get balls up in there and withdraw their military support from Israel and say, you're on your own. They've already given them enormous amounts of weapons, and some weapons are being shipped to them. They need to cap it right now. And Joe Biden just needs to, his career is already fucked up. He might as well just try to minimize and do damage control by simply withdrawing. But he's a Zionist, so it really don't matter. He gonna go to the hilt. He doesn't care. So he's never gonna do that. So ultimately, and he's been paid handsomely by AIPAC and all the other Israeli lobbying groups. So he's not gonna do that. He's gonna go out on his shield doing this very evil thing he's doing. So forget about him. We have to hope that we can get somebody in government who can use common sense and withdraw the American presence from in that region immediately. Somebody who has common sense to understand that. And immediately cut off all aid to Israel and future aid to Israel. And the only way that's going to happen is if you elect somebody like Jill Stein or Cornel West. It's the only way that's going to happen. So the other thing I want to say is, well, I might as well just let you guys hear it. This is a former Israeli IDF soldier. Let me recap that for a second. So this former Israeli IDF soldier who now uh, he goes against the system. He was talking about the fact that he realized that his job was to terrorize the Palestinians. Let me say that again. He realized his job was to terror. Who is the terrorist out here? You know, it's interesting. They talk about Hamas being terrorists. They talk about Hezbollah for some reason being terrorists. Hezbollah doesn't. How is Hezbollah terrorist? Defending your own land is terrorism. But this idea of Shaul is telling us his job was to instill fear in the Palestinians, to terrorize them, to scare them. And this is in the West Bank, and we see those terrorizing tactics right now on display with the bombing of the refugee camps. It's all to instill terror in the people, scare them so they will leave the land. The settlers do the same thing. In fact, they kill Palestinians and take their lands, take their homes. So everybody knows this now. This is common knowledge. The whole thing, the whole lid of the thing, the whole secret about Israel and how good it is and stuff, it's all blown now. It's all blown. The whole world knows. We all see it. And they're trying to push the lid back on. You can't push the lid back on. You're worse than Nazi Germany. And of all people we thought would never want this to happen to anybody else, they're the very people who are doing even worse than Hitler did. And they're doing it openly. And they're saying to the world, and what you gonna do about it? In their face. So it's time to act. We're going to see if the United Nations is word shit or it's just shit, because it's time to act. And the people who can enforce these things are there. Once upon a time, the world used to look to America for morality. not realizing that America committed so many atrocities and crimes in other countries, in Afghanistan, in Iraq. I listened to a spokesperson for the office of the government say some really stupid shit. He said, we made mistakes in Afghanistan and Iraq. Mistakes, mistakes. Oh, that's what, like Israel. Oops, we made a mistake. No, it don't work like that. You have to be held accountable. And George W. Bush needs to be held accountable, and Dick Cheney. A war that was not necessary. They killed Saddam Hussein over stuff that wasn't even there. So everybody needs to understand you don't escape nothing in this life or in the next. You're going to have to answer for it one way or the other. Better you answer for it in this life than you answer it in the life to come. Now, some of y'all going to burn in hell. And I ain't going to be sorry for you. Okay, I said that was my last clip, so that's my last clip. So the guy, he's saying how much power the military has, and they abuse their power on the Palestinians. All right, let's get to the next thing I want to talk about. It's on Twitter as well. So Bo DeMayo is a huge Zack Snyder fan. Unfortunately, I can't show you his Twitter page, but I can read it for you guys. So I want to show you his latest tweet on Twitter. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Bo DeMayo is the creator and head writer of X-Men 97, which is a tremendous success for Marvel. And he's a bodybuilder. Here's what he said. So he also watched Zack Snyder's mental health program, and Snyderverse, by the way, was trending on Twitter today, as well as Zack Snyder's Justice League was trending on Twitter today. And I say all of this just to say there's nothing better than the Snyderverse for DC right now. It just isn't. Um, you know, people who want to say otherwise, good for them. But when you look at DC right now and where it is at, I heard some people say the Snyderverse is dead. The antis, the people who don't like Zack Snyder. They've always been wrong, of course. The Snyderverse is very much alive. And what I mean by that is people are talking about the Snyderverse all the time, including the antis. If it was dead, they wouldn't be talking about it. Furthermore, DC, as we know it, is dead. There's nothing else to talk about the Snyderverse because there's nothing to look forward to. When you look at DC, it has had 8 flops. The DCU, at least, has had 8 flops in a row, starting with Birds of Prey, working all its way down to Aquaman. Not a single movie broke even at the box office. And what's so crazy about that is, no matter the critical ratings, nothing could change those movies around. I've said it before, I will say it one more time. When Warner Brothers decided to go the route of Marvel, they started to chase Marvel. They wanted a Marvelized universe. They fucked up. And James Gunn's not going to change anything because he's a Marvel director. He only knows how to do things the Marvel way. And he's going to try to do things the Marvel way, and he's going to fuck up some more. So he didn't succeed with the Suicide Squad. He's not going to succeed with Superman, whatever it's called. It's just not his thing. And I don't mean to wish gloom and doom on him, but the direction that WBD has been taking is costing them. Their stock was at an all-time low today. I think it was $7.68 for a share. And they're a very quality film in Mad Max Furiosa, the prequel from Mad Max. It flopped at the box office, or it's flopping. And that's sad because that's a good film. I know it's a good film, but it just goes to show you when people get turned off from the antics and shenanigans that this company has been doing and its toxic nature, even good films will suffer. And I do believe the Batman will suffer. I do believe Joker will suffer for it. First of all, nobody asked for a Joker sequel. They thought the first movie was good enough. And what a lot of these other fans out there don't realize is we're not the fringe. The Snyder fans are not the fringe. Snyder fans represent the interest of most people who are the audience for DC films. Okay? We're not the fringe. We've always wanted an alternate take to Marvel. With most of the DC fans or the DC audience, most of them want a fuller, more deeper dive into DC. We've been spoilt by a number of directors who have done quality work with DC. So we know what it is to have a well-rounded, well-shot, well-done movie. The stuff that Marvel does is cheap, tacky, CW-ish, because a lot of Marvel writers for CW, and we just don't like it. And when we see what James Gunn's plans are for Superman, and it looks like a cosplay, like one of the DC fans, I think it was what's his name? Whatever his name is. He's calling it a cosplay. Some other people was like, nah. Some people said it was shit. That just doesn't ring well. We don't want no kick-ass kind of film. Matthew Vaughn kick-ass film stuff. We're not interested in that. We're interested in something more, something deeper, something that makes us think and wants to have discussions and reasonings with things. It's much more mature themes, and we said it over and over again. We've given Warner Brothers a mandate, and then they turn around and they do something else. The mandate is simple. DC fans wanted Henry Cavill to do a Man of Steel movie, a Superman movie, outside of what Zack Snyder was doing. And Warner Brothers said, no, but we'll give you a Superman movie, but James Gunn will direct it. And Henry Cavill will not be there. Fans wanted a Batman movie with Ben Affleck because they loved Ben Affleck. Warner Brothers said, no, we'll give you a Matt Reeves and we'll give you some other guy to play Batman. DC fans said, not just DC fans, sorry, my bad. The general audience said, restore the Snyderverse. It became mainstream. Warner Brothers said, fuck no, we're not doing that. Hell no. Let me give you a whole slate of these flops. So it's not surprising that nobody's going to see DC. And it won't be surprising that nobody goes to see Gunn's movies. Because the demographic that Warner Brothers is pitching these movies to doesn't like those kinds of movies, period. Now they want to have Mr. Miller, George Miller. They want to have George Miller. I see George Miller talking about Justice League and stuff, but George Miller's movie is flopping. It's flopping. So I like George Miller, but I gotta be honest with you guys. The man for the job in terms of DC to get DC pumping, it's not George Miller. It's Zack Snyder. Period. And if Warner Brothers has to be sold off and go to Universal or Netflix buys the property or something. I know it's Disney. They're trying to link up with Disney. They've been trying to force this because they're trying to get this crossover for the long time. They're trying to force the issue and they're going to go down with it. Just like how Israel's going to go down for its shit. They're both Warner Brothers and Disney are doing shit right now. And none of the fans like it. They say, we have this plan. We're going to go through with this plan no matter what. We don't care what the fans think. We don't care what the audience thinks. Okay. So when you go through with your plan and it fails, that's because you was bullheaded, stupid, and you decided you was going to do what you think you should do. Fuck the fans, fuck the audience, fuck everybody. But you're making movies for them. That makes any sense? I got one more thing to say on this issue. Restore the Snyderverse is not going to go away anytime soon. It's just not. The only way you can get the Restore the Snyderverse people to stop talking about restoring the Snyderverse is to restore the Snyderverse. And the longer you take is the more they're going to ask for more things with the Snyderverse and more things of the Snyderverse and more things of the Snyderverse. Because that's where the interest lies. That's where the excitement lies. Nothing is creative out here. Matt Reeves didn't do anything new with Batman. Made him addicted to drugs or some shit like that. But other than that, nothing new. Nothing. It was a dud when it comes to creativity, innovation, and something new in the story. There was nothing new in the story. It was worse than any Christopher Nolan film. And Christopher Nolan's films are pretty good. Christopher Nolan's films trumped that by miles because Christopher Nolan actually introduced something new. Zack Snyder Batman trumps it by miles. The only shitty Batman we've seen is in The Flash and Justice League. It's been shit. But Zack Snyder's Justice League and BVS and so on, Ben's been on point. And it all goes to show you that you can have great talent, you can have great creatives, and you can have an asshole of a studio, and that messes up everything. So, restore the Snyder versus something. Let's get moving to something else here. The final thing. You guys can't see it, but you can hear it. So I'm gonna play this for you guys, a little bit of it, just little snippets of it. Oh shit! Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Uh, yeah, here it is. Okay, so this is was Zack Snyder uh with AF All right, so that was Charlie Hunnam speaking on darkness and light, and you guys might have missed some of it because I got kicked out of the studio for some stupid reason. I got kicked out of the studio. So let me recap it. So Charlie Hunnam in the Out of the Darkness, stream with Zack Snyder and AFSP, he was speaking about how you know Buddha was able to get enlightenment, but he was visited by Mara. Mara was the extreme darkness, and he overcame Mara and he got extreme enlightenment. But Mara came back about a week later, and this time instead of uh, fighting Mara, he just sort of said, "Well, have some tea with me." And he sat down. He was having his tea, and Mara was extreme darkness, couldn't perturb him to the extent that Mara got disturbed and left and said, "See you next week." And he said, "All right." So he's basically saying that we have to be able to embrace both the light and the darkness in our lives. When we say embrace, we don't mean make it a part of us, but we mean like understand it. It don't say why me? Why is this happening to me? Instead, just go through with the thing and ride the wave and see what happens. And also be, optimistic about it as well. Don't let situations determine your emotional state, basically. You persist with whatever you have to persist with, even if it's very uncomfortable. So I thought that was really enlightening. And there were several other things that Charlie Hunnam said that was really good. Because he's saying, a lot of us feel that because we get success, that will help us emotionally with our emotional state. And to some degree, it's true. But for most of the time, people do a lot of things and they still feel empty inside, or they get depression. And even if you have a sense of God, there are times where you can be depleted or too tired, and you're pushing the candle too hard that sometimes you get depression, you get a downer, and your body has to recoup. So there's all these things. I was thinking one of the things they didn't really speak on was trauma, how people get depression through trauma and mental illness through trauma. So they didn't really touch on that topic uh, in the discussions, but I thought I'd just give you all a snippet of it. You guys can also check it out online as well. Like I said before, you can also donate to and support AFSP. This is the actual link I'm giving you guys there that you should be able to use to go there. But you can also use what the hell? Man, some real weird shit be going on here, man, on YouTube. Anyways, hold on a second. I'm going to type it back in here. Okay. I can't even see it. Can you at least move? Man, he's such a forgot what the name of it was though. Well, anyway, I have the actual link. So this is the actual link here. Okay, so if you guys want to go to that actual link, just click on it. Hopefully, if not, just copy and paste it, and you should be able to go to FSB and you can donate there. All right. So that's basically my stream for tonight. God bless you guys. Have a good one. I think restoring the Snyderverse is inevitable. I think that Free Palestine is inevitable. I think Israel, as it is in its current form, will have to be reorganized and broken down some. Um, and I hope that the international community keeps the pressure on. There's a lot of protests and strikes and all sorts of things. We need to, besides Israel having sanctions, you guys must not purchase or buy any products or stuff that's affiliated with Israel, particularly the occupied territories, particularly settler colonization. And once Israel is an apartheid state, you should also not support them, the country in and of itself. There are a lot of Israelis that are against this. Like I said before, there's a lot of fighting inside of Israel. Right now in Tel Aviv, they're really striking and protesting, and they're whipping up a storm. I'm happy for my Israeli brothers and sisters that are doing that. Change does not come without pressure. You have to pressure your leaders into changing. So I think that Great Britain is going to have an election as well, and they're going to get rid of that guy. And the guy that's replacing him is just as bad. So they should find somebody to represent the people, who really represent the people, and rally around that person. That's what you guys need to do. In true democracy style, if someone is really representing your values and stuff, then you need to rally around that person, regardless of what special interest is around, funding or lobbying or whatever. And that's what I got for you guys. I am Christ, I am disciple. I'll catch you guys later. God bless you all. Don't forget to donate to me via PayPal. The link is in the description. But in the chat section, you can also donate to AFSP. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.